Yes, hello everyone and welcome to all our West Australian football fans to another edition of Around the WAFL, the official podcast of the West Australian Football League. The home and away season now done. We move into finals. September action isn't too far away. But on today's edition, we're going to review all the matches in round 20 on today's edition of Around the WAFL, live from the BackChat studios. We've got socials in operation, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Give us a big thumbs up. We really do appreciate it. Paul Persick is my name. It's a great pleasure to be with you on this Tuesday. And joining me today is Mark Forey Foreman. Forey, good morning to you, mate. What a season it has been. Home and away games now, but a memory.
How good. Yeah, it was amazing. And what about the finish with the ladder?
Oh.
4 teams on the same amount of points separated by, what was it, 8% in the end, I think.
Only 8%. And of course, East Fremantle only the clear ones on top.
Yeah, incredible. So good. And West Perth held up their end of the bargain, which we'll talk about shortly. But
they did.
Unfortunately for them, Claremont didn't drop their game. So
that's right.
West Perth do miss out. But
what's that old saying? They were all dressed up with nowhere to go because they didn't make the 5.
Yeah, well, exactly. And they were wearing some pretty good clothes too because they come home with a wet sail. But not to be. That's what happens when you leave your run too late.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really how you'd sum it up for West Perth. They left their run too late, but they played some very, very good football. They'll be back in 2024.
They will.
But a team that is in the 5 for 2023 is Claremont, who are looking to complete their mission of grand final redemption. In just a moment, we're going to be speaking to Teia, who had another outstanding game over the weekend against Perth, and we'll also have the casting of the votes for the Player of the Year. It will finally be announced after 20 long rounds of competition. Just a reminder, every game during the finals is live, free and in full on the AFL app. This is Around the WAFL, the official podcast of the West Australian Football League. And Claremont, they have come good at the right time after a late season slump. 4 straight losses before round 19. They got the job done. 2 good home wins over Swan Districts and Perth over the past weekend. That got them into 5th place, and Teia really was a huge difference, playing a bit of defence and in midfield. And in fact, he's good enough to join us on today's edition of Around the WAFL. Teia, how you going, mate?
Hey, mate, how you going? Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Going very well. Great to have you here on the show. Very good win for your guys over Perth throughout the weekend. Physical pressure and that run and carry brand proved very, very strong, in fact, over the last 2 weeks. And as a matter of fact, very, very solid in that win over Perth.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to get some form back from all the boys heading into the busy end of the year. So, it's good to finish off the season with 2 wins and looking for some momentum heading into finals.
Hey, Teia, always interested to hear about the backstories. You obviously had a little bit of time on an AFL list. You now find yourself in WA. What brought you over to WA?
So I played a fair bit of VFL over the last 8 years or so, and I just thought it was ready for a bit of a change. And I was lucky enough that my dad actually played over at Claremont and won the flag over there. And so sort of the family background and things, and then once I came over here and met a few of the boys and met some of the coaches, I basically made my mind up straight away and that I wanted to move over. And, it's been an awesome choice so far.
Yeah, fantastic. And you seem to be going from strength to strength. You enjoying your time in Perth and at the Tigers? Yeah,
absolutely loving my time over in Perth. And, Tigerland is very, very special to me and my family. So, they've done nothing wrong so far and I'm absolutely loving it.
Tell us about your father, Jeff Miles, a very talented player in his day, premiership player with Claremont and a former Eagle in the VFL back in those days. What was it like to watch your dad play back in those days?
I was actually too young to watch him play back in those days, but I've seen a fair few highlights of him. It's good. It's always good to learn off someone so close to me, and he was a massive influence for me throughout my AFL and VFL career, and even since I've been over here, been over probably 4 or 5 games throughout the year, and then Mum's been over for the same amount as well. So, it's very good to have them both over here.
And your form this season has been very reflective as well. 28 disposals and 8 marks in that win over Perth on Saturday. You're coming into some good form at the right time, along with some of your fellow midfielders, Bailey Rogers and Jai Bolton, saw plenty of the footy. What's it like to play in tandem with them across the season?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm lucky enough to actually live with Jai, so we live together, and I get to see the amount of work that he does on and off the field. And Bailey's hit some really good form leading into this back end of the year. So he's playing really, really good footy at the moment, and so is everyone. Really, everyone's hopefully hitting the right straps towards our first elimination final this weekend.
Teia, what keeps you busy away from footy? We know it's a pretty tough, it's a tough gig to balance your WAFL footy as well as life. But what keeps you busy away from footy?
So for work, I actually work for a company called Furniture Gallery, just doing furniture deliveries throughout every day. So that's Tuesday through to Friday.
Did you say?
I get Mondays off, which is nice.
Did you say furniture delivery?
Furniture Gallery.
Oh, gallery.
Furniture
right.
store. Yeah.
Cool. Yep.
I work there 4 days a week, and then I'm actually lucky enough that my mum's sister lives over here, so my auntie and uncle and all my cousins. So I try and catch up with them once or twice a week, and they come to most of my games as well. So I am fairly busy throughout the week, and footy makes it even busier.
Yeah, beautiful.
Certainly does. A very busy life, but one that's certainly worthwhile. Teia, thanks very much for your time, mate. We love the form that you're on this season and the work-life balance that you've got as well. Keeps you very busy. All the best for the weekend's elimination final against East Perth. Should be a ripper.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Teia Miles from the Claremont Football Club joining us there. Very good balance. Working in Furniture Gallery and playing WAFL footy. That's not a bad work-life balance to have.
Yeah, a couple of nice couches coming his way, I assume.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Good way to wind down. No, he's when I thought he said furniture delivery, I thought that is a taxing job to work and then go to footy training after. But no, look, a great young fella too. So he's still got a lot of footy ahead of him, and it was awesome.
Absolutely. In his first season of WAFL League football as well, coming over from Williamstown, he's really adapted to the WAFL style in such quick time as well, and learnt a lot from his legendary father, Jeff Miles, a great player in his day.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of other connections to the AFL as well, I learned. He's I think his sister is married to Mitch Duncan.
Correct.
So there you go. And I think his cousin also is Dylan Buckley.
Yes.
Who's got his own podcast as well.
That's right. Dylan Friends.
Yeah, Dylan Friends used to play for GWS and I think it was Carlton as well,
yes.
Dylan Buckley. So, it's closely connected and obviously played a few AFL games himself, did Teia. But players like him, we've spoken about this, players like him, only enhance the competition. So it's really great. And we got to thank them for their access as well. Being able to chat to them this year has been really fun.
Well, we do thank all the clubs for their access across the 2023 WAFL season, and it will continue across the final series. Just a reminder, week 1 of the finals is coming very shortly. If you can't make it to the game, don't fret. You can catch it live, free, and in full on the AFL app. This is Around the WAFL. You're with Paul Persick and Mark Foreman. Okay, let's get to the 5 games for you of the final round of home and away matches. And just before we go to the West Coast South Fremantle game, there's a little bit of housekeeping that we have to tend to.
Yeah, go on.
Forey, let's trace back to last week. The tip for the game between West Coast and South Fremantle.
I can barely remember yesterday. So
you can barely remember yesterday.
Yeah,
well,
so what happened
weren't
last
you
week?
weren't you the one that tipped West Coast to beat South Fremantle?
Don't think so. Did I? No. Yes, I did
Yes, you
actually.
did.
And now I realise why I was confused. It was actually opposite day, which I.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, it was. So I can't remember what day.
Opposite day, my backside, mate. You tipped the Eagles.
Yeah, meaning that I tipped the Eagles because I obviously thought Souths were going to win. It was opposite day, Paul.
Oh, my God.
You'll get used to it. It's all right.
I cannot. This is from your weird mind that you've got. But let's go on to business. Let's get on with the game. South Fremantle just too good. They finished off on a high. Brendan Donaldson and Jimmy Miller, again, the difference for South Fremantle is they needed to be up forward. And South Fremantle, tough season for them, but Todd Curley's boys should be happy that they finished off with a win.
Yeah, well, great way to finish off. I should clarify, I got caught up in the excitement. We were tipping upsets. I was very excited about, I tipped West Perth and I tipped... So, these things, accidents happen. But they were pretty good, South Fremantle. And I found bizarre is that they kick straight. We have not seen that this year from many teams. They had 29 shots on goal. 24 of them were goals.
It's a good conversion rate.
Yeah, it's a monstrous score. We've seen this with West Coast before as well. Perhaps some of their, recent performances, teams haven't kicked so straight, made it look a little better. So, not so much for Souths. They kicked 24 goals, which is a lot of goals to kick in a match. So
and it's easy to say, it was their best performance because it was against the Eagles. But I think this performance that they had at Mineral Resources Park on the Saturday could be vindictive of where they'll be in the future, because they lost a lot of players. They were injury-ridden, but also their backs were against the wall from the outset because of the salary cap breach. And I think Todd Curley, I've read this in the paper yesterday, that they really uncovered a lot of good young gems this season. I mean, you talk about the likes of Aaron Drage, who had a great first few games since making his debut. Aidan Hall's coming into his own as a very good defender midfielder. Riley Colborne, he's been very good. But you've also been able to retain the experience of the likes of Jimmy Miller playing in ruck and up forward, and Brendan Donaldson playing that vital swing role in the forward 50.
Yeah, and kicked 4 goals as well, did Brandon Donaldson. Brandon Donaldson. They had 7 multiple goal kickers, so they shared it around a lot, and then they had a few kick, individuals as well. So they were good, and that's what you're just saying. That's what you want when you can't make the finals, which was obviously a long way out. We knew that for South. So what do you get from the season? It's things like that, the development of young players and being able to explore different positions for certain guys. So I think they've got a lot out of the back end. Todd Curley will be stoked with that, and they can take a lot into next year.
For the West Coast Eagles, first winless season since 1999. But having said that, they can take solace in the fact that they unearthed as well some good players as well. Greg Clark coming back midway through the season, saw plenty of the football in his games. Rhett Bazzo, he had a bit of a downer against South Fremantle on Saturday, but he played some good football. Also, Callum Jameson in the ruck, he's showing a lot of potential, as well as Zane True. And Isaiah Winder, of course, on the AFL list as well. 9 marks for Winder in that game on Saturday.
Yeah, so look, it's been a torrid season for West Coast in both the AFL and the WAFL, and when you get absolutely hammered by injuries, this is what's going to happen. So we've had a lot of guys playing, and we've had a lot of amateur footballers coming in to fill the void for West Coast. I think there's a few things to explore there as well. It's worthwhile, probably giving West Coast the option to perhaps raise the cap a little bit. I think, because that will allow them to bring in some higher quality players to sort of avoid these depth issues. But yeah, you're right. They had some good performers this year. So Greg Clark found a lot of the footy at WAFL level. He's sort of stuck in that little in between. He hasn't had probably the performances that West Coast had hoped at AFL level, but he's doing everything he needs to at WAFL. A few other players as well has been really good. And look, even though I did mention a couple of times that they are amateur players, they've uncovered some gems like Joey Deegan. He's been really good this year, and is a player that is certainly of WAFL quality. So yeah, look, they battled manfully. They hung in there. Of course, there were a few results that were pretty ugly, but that's going to happen, and we know the reasons. And I think West Coast will go from strength to strength.
Well, the future certainly should look bright for the Eagles in 2024 with the players that they've unearthed. Now we go to the next game, Revo Fitness Stadium, Claremont and Perth on the Saturday. Claremont, they needed to beat Perth to seal 5th place. They did that emphatically, 13-12 to 6-5. And again, it was the likes of Rogers, Bolton, and Miles coming into form at the right time that got the job done.
Yeah, they've got some quality players like Bailey Rogers to have 29 and kick 4, and he had, I think it was 11 inside 50s as well. Like that was an incredible game from him. Jai Bolton found a lot of the footy.
Game 150 as well for Jai.
Yeah, unfortunately couldn't celebrate with a goal. He missed a couple, but Claremont had this one done. Pretty much at quarter time, 5-1 in that first quarter. So. Yeah, I mean, we'll go through the previews on Thursday, obviously, but I'm not I'm not excited about what Claremont's doing. Sorry, but they just they should have beaten Perth. They did, but leading up, it's just been very confusing.
Yeah, the 4 straight losses midway through during the late stage in the season, were very confusing. It was very un-Claremont-like with the brand that they were playing, and also their inability to convert in front of goal during those games. But they did get it together. They got it together through their midfield in particular. I've liked their midfield over the last 2 weeks a lot more than the 4 weeks beforehand, and especially when you have Bolton in form, Miles, Edwards as well, who's starting off as a rover in the last couple of weeks, Jack Lucy playing a bit down back as well. But also you have a very good forward line that even if some of your key forwards aren't firing, then you've got some new forwards that have been blooded in who can impact the scoreboard. Kieran Gowdy, case in point, 3 goals straight from 10 disposals. On the other hand, for the Perth Football Club, Another disappointing loss for them, but they did keep Claremont in check for just a little bit. Sam Stubbs, in particular, 3 goals. He had another good day out to finish the season. Liam Delamata, who came back into the side, saw plenty of the footy. And Corey Byrne as well, making his usual impact. But Charlie Thompson finishing off the season with a flourish as well, 27. But again, it's just that continuity and that consistency that was missing from Perth. But we didn't expect success straight away for the Perth Football Club. Peter German coming in, first season and what has been touted as a long rebuild.
Yeah, and, same thing with what we spoke about with South Fremantle. So Perth were missing the finals from a long way out. So these are the sort of things that they needed to focus on. And, they weren't disgraced. It's a pretty big margin in the end. Like, what is that?
49.
49 points. So, but in the second half, 6 goals to 4, so it's a bit of an arm wrestle in that second half, and they were able to sort of hold them. But game was done at half time. So, look, all you can do is win the games that are put in front of you. So Claremont did that. But I think you're right. Perth's been able to uncover a few really good players, and they've also experimented with a few players back and forth as well. So things to take forward next year. I don't particularly think that they'll play... I don't think they'll play finals next year, but, stranger things have happened.
Well, they'll get close, I reckon. They'll get close to maybe a 6th or 7th place finish at least next year if they can keep this current formula. But, get a few more top players to really bolster the squad. Now we go to the third game down at Steel Blue Oval, the last home game for Swan Districts against Peel Thunder. And Peel Thunder, they sealed themselves the double chance. Third place with a 10-point win over a late charging Swans, 12-11 to 10-13. And I have to say the leading spark for that was one of their leading goal kickers, Josh Corbett, in the second half as well. He sparked the Thunder charge into that second half. Yeah,
he's a good presence, Josh Corbett. And, he's had a little bit of exposure in the AFL this year. And to kick 5 is impressive. And he certainly did spark them. He took, like you said, 12 marks. He was an absolute presence. So they had the living daylights scared out of them at quarter time, as we expected and predicted. I think, luckily, again, it was opposite day. I think I tipped Swans. So
here we go with the opposite day thing
obviously
again.
I meant Peel Thunder. So just to clarify that with you, so I must have got 4 out of 5, I reckon.
I don't think some of the listeners will buy that opposite day explanation, but get on with it.
So quarter time, Swans, 3 goals to 1. Peel's kicked 6 goals to 2 in that second quarter. So that, for me, that's the sign of a really strong team when you're challenged and you respond immediately. Like they didn't rest on their laurels. Not that you're ever going to sit and wait and we'll come in the second half. But
you've still got a lot at stake, especially when you're fighting for a final spot and even the double chance.
Yeah, exactly right. And so that's what they did. They put the accelerator down and were able to do what needed to be done. But credit to Swans, they've this back half, what they've built throughout the back half of the season has been awesome. And like West Perth, I reckon that they'll be a bit disappointed that they've left their run real late.
Absolutely, especially when you have Jesse Turner seeing plenty of the football. He led the charge in midfield. Aidan Clark continuing his great form, 31 possessions. Jackson McLaughlin, good young midfielder, first full season of WAFL footy. He's starting to grow in skill and maturity as a fine footballer. Really loved his work across the second half of the season. And 2 goals each to Lachlan Riley and Josh Cipro in a losing effort for the Swans. And the Golden Grunt, that was also one of the big stories that was at this game. The last one for the year. What did your inside sources say that who could take out the Golden Grunt on Saturday?
Yeah, had a good chat. So this is groundbreaking. I tell you, there's a first in the Golden Grunt. Ooh. In that they shared it.
Oh, the
tie. It was a shared award, so they gave it to Jackson McLaughlin, who, as you said, found a lot of the footy, but they loved his in and under grunt work.
Yes.
Pardon the pun, although that's literally what they said. And Jeb O'Donoghue, who they said had some really impactful moments and also stood up for his teammates. So I'm told that there was a bit of biff. There's been a few a few charges laid out of this game because the Spaniard, Josh Cipro, I've just made that up. I mean, Cipro sounds Spanish to me, but he had his head sort of pulverised into the ground, which started a bit of a fracas. Yes. So Jeb O'Donoghue was one of the ones I think I saw that's been charged. But, and that also, not that we're condoning, melees or whatever, but you could see there was a bit of unity starting to happen. And the Golden Grunt, the final Golden Grunt of 2023 went to a shared award between Jeb O'Donoghue and Jackson McLaughlin. And I'm told that when they announced McLaughlin, there was a massive roar, and he's a very popular figure down there at Bassendean. So, look, they had a great finish to the season. There is one little bit of news to come out of this, which is really unfortunate in that the man we've been talking about a lot, Tom Edwards, he has a knee concern.
That is right. Unfortunately, that was a knee concern, which is a huge blow for Swan District, especially for their plans for next year.
So I'm unsure at the moment if it's confirmed is it confirmed as an ACL?
It's not confirmed at the present time, but once we get more information, we'll make it available.
And that's so the fears are, this is what I'm being told, that the fears are that it is an ACL, which is the most horrible timing because that would mean pretty much he misses all of next season.
That's right.
With a 12-month recovery period. He's one that was not out of the question for a mid-season draft pick or even a rookie list spot. So that's horrible news. So we're really crossing our fingers for Tom Edwards, who once again was finding the footy in the first quarter and then early in the second quarter.
He was incredible throughout the second half of the season. He was a real match winner for a lot of those games late in the season. And we do wish all the best for Tommy Edwards in his recovery. Now we go to the final two games, the later games, the Perth Derby. My golly, it was back and forth footy at its best north of the river. West Perth, they needed to win. They lifted their end of the bargain. But as we said at the beginning, they were all dressed up with nowhere to go because they didn't make the five. I'm going to go to East Perth, first of all, for this game. I reckon this loss will serve as a good wake-up call for them, a real kick up the backside that Ross McQueen's boys needed, because they know they made the finals, but they needed a nice little reality check, and they got it, and hopefully this will fire them up for the elimination final.
Look, you always hear stories like this, like, oh, is this the loss we needed or whatever, but they would have been under no doubt that the team in West Perth they were coming up against was quality. Their finals quality, in my opinion, who haven't made the finals. Look, a kick up the backside maybe, but also I suppose with the guarantee of finals, it was a good opportunity to come up against, to play an early final. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, because it was finals-like intensity. West Perth, it was an elimination final for them, and unfortunately, even though they won, they couldn't do it. But really, they're probably the biggest losers of the weekend, East Perth.
Yeah, because that's cost them the double chance even to host a qualifying final, because they drop down to fourth and have to host a sudden death final as a result.
So they drop. Yeah, so that's why they're the biggest losers. They drop out of that double chance, and they now have to do it the hard way. However, they have the team to do it. So they're probably the team that, if they dropped out of that top three, that I felt could still play a really strong part. So with that midfield they've got, don't rule them out.
Yeah, their midfield is good, but I have to say there's a few suspicions about their forward line and their back line. It's that missing piece of the puzzle that they need to get together for that final on the Sunday. But from West Perth's point of view, they had their usual suspects firing. Luke Meadows, outstanding. He's had a great second half of the season. Shane Nelson, 35 possessions. Aidan Lynch, 11 marks as well. And Sasha Kernett, we didn't expect him to be in amongst the big goal kickers in this game. He kicked 5 goals straight from 13 kicks. He was a real difference up forward, and especially in the last quarter when East Perth, they were like 52 points down at one stage, and they got up to within 4. And Sasha Kernett and the likes of Tyler Keitel were the late heroes for West Perth in that game.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't tell you a thing about him. He sort of popped up, and that's a great performance against a really good team to kick 5 and have that presence up forward is awesome. And I noticed it was at half time. That game was sort of basically almost done, and then East Perth come out and bang, slam on 8 goals in the third quarter to, as you said, set the game alight, which is cool. But then you get that response from West Perth. So yeah, some of those veterans stood up. Shane Nelson found the footy, as he's done for 10 plus years, and they had the impact of Zach Warden and down back or across half back, and providing that presence as well. So, and Luke Meadows, like you said, able to find the footy. It was great to see, and it must just be so frustrating for them to be playing this sort of footy at the end of the year. But
6 wins in a row to finish off and not make the 5.
Yep, and to fall short. So you can't imagine, just how frustrating that must be. But sure they forgot all about that yesterday at Mad Monday, and they'll move forward.
And also, we do say congratulations to Darren Harris as well. That was his last game as West Perth coach, but hopefully he won't be lost to the game completely. Good coach, great bloke as well, and we do wish him all the best in his next chapter.
How long was he at the helm for?
He was in second stint at West Perth for 2 years. He came in at the start of 2022, won a premiership, and now was part of a succession plan. And Jason Salisic, who's currently the reserves coach, will take over as league coach in 2024.
Yeah, the old number 2 for West Perth,
Absolutely.
I think he was.
Yep.
No, look, and I reckon to an extent it plays. It's even more important at WAFL level that you have players who perhaps played for the club or have a strong affiliation. And Jason Salisic was a fantastic player for West Perth over so many years. I remember going to the footy with Dad and watching him when I was a young tacker. And so when you have that passion for the club, not to say that it's not an absolute prerequisite, but it probably helps. So they'll be excited to get him in. And yeah, Darren Harris, he is a good guy. I remember he did a bit of work at North Beach when I was still playing there. So a fantastic coach. Like, he knows the game inside out, but also, more importantly, knows how to manage people. So a loss for West Perth, but good, exciting for Jason Salisic coming in.
Certainly will be. Now let's go to the final game of round 20, Leederville Oval. Back and forth footy. Subi were in control for the first half. East Fremantle came back in the third quarter. It was all square, and then a monstrous final turn for East Fremantle. 9-1 in the last quarter. Set up a 50-point win over Subiaco and top spot on the ladder.
Yeah, so I would love to have been a fly on the wall at the three-quarter time huddle. It's like, all right, guys, this is our chance to stamp our authority, and didn't they do that?
Oh, they certainly did.
That's incredible. 9 goals in a quarter of WAFL footy. So, scared the living daylights out of Subi, who would have thought, we're taking it up to the top team. And then, they've sort of lapsed in a quarter. Not to take anything away from East Fremantle, but that's incredible.
Their ninth straight win as well on end, heading into the finals. And, of course, they'll get the week off for the second semi-final on the 9th of September. And they had plenty of stars that really lifted in that last quarter. Fraser Turner, again, outstanding. I mean, I've just loved his form across the season in midfield. 8 marks as well to go with his 27 touches. Ruben Maguire was a bit down in the ruck, but he shared that ruck load with Hugh Dixon, who kicked 3 goals straight. Braden Lawler, former Peel player, 5 goals for him. And every one of that East Fremantle side, they were down in the first 3 quarters, but they lifted up a notch in their intensity and their work rate in that last quarter. They were outstanding. What a side.
Yeah, well, absolutely what a side. And they've created a little bit of history for themselves, I think, first time in 25 years.
1998.
Yeah, that they've taken out the minor premiership, and those players are, huge factors in doing that. And they've earned it, rightly so. You can win 9 in a row, and they put themselves up there. And Braden Lawler, I think, was playing. Did he play a bit of amateurs football? I think last year or a couple of years ago,
and with Peel Thunder as well.
Yeah, he's. Yeah, a fantastic player, and to see him excelling at this level is, no surprise to many of us. But again, sharing the goals around, and multiple goal kickers too. So
Schoenfeld as well. A bit unheralded across the season, Josh Schoenfeld, but 4 goals for him and 24 disposals and 7 marks. Saw his way around the football incredibly. Subiaco, a couple of their key players were down. I'm going to be blunt. I mean, especially in the last quarter. Ben Sokol again held goalless. He was held quite well all day. Zach Clark, he dominated in the ruck, but like a lot of the Subiaco players, fell away during the later stages in the third quarter and throughout the fourth as well. And that's what really fell apart. It's just that continuity, that link, it just stopped for Subiaco because they were leading convincingly at one stage.
Yeah, they were. I think they were up by... how many points was it?
They were up by some 15, 20 points in the second quarter.
Well, you can see at quarter time. Yeah, I mean, is it a worry? I don't know.
I don't think it should be. I mean, Subiaco is still, one of the premiership fancies heading into the finals. Yeah,
they are. But you do worry that if they sort of shut down guys like Ben Sokol, where's their avenue to goal? But they're a good side, so they'll figure that out. And look, they've got some quality players. Like we saw, Jake South kicked a couple, and Ryan Borchet he kicked 3. But what I did notice was Zach Clark. I think this is going to be a key for teams that play Subiaco, which we'll get to the preview on Thursday. But whilst he did dominate the hitouts, he wasn't as prolific around the ground.
That's right, yeah.
You know, maybe trying to quell that influence, I think, is going to be a huge focus for other teams. So they were down a little. And then, obviously, the bad news for them is Taj Schofield,
Yes.
who has copped an injury. I don't know. Do you know what that injury was?
I wasn't at that game,
No,
but
so-
we'll have to confirm on Thursday
Yeah, I was
come the finals preview.
I was sent a message to say that Subi will be without Taj Schofield. So, we will confirm that. But, you know, that's a big loss as well. So
Certainly is.
and probably played its role in you know, not being able to sort of handle the Sharks. He's an important player.
Congratulations to the Sharks, nonetheless, 50-point winners on Saturday. Now to the ladder. After 20 rounds of home and away matches, East Fremantle on top of the ladder, and well-deserved too. Their first minor premiership in 25 years. Subiaco, 2 games behind, but of course 4 teams in that 5, all tied on 48 points. Subiaco, Peel Thunder, East Perth and Claremont making up the final 5. West Perth just missing out, 1 game behind. Swan Districts in 7th and making up the bottom half. South Fremantle, Perth and the West Coast Eagles. After 20 rounds of WAFL football in 2023, 10 teams started, 5 go out and 5 remain. Just a reminder, finals week 1, both games live, free and in full on the AFL app. This is Around the WAFL, the official podcast of the West Australian Football League. All right, Forey, for the final time this year,
Hey.
the casting of votes for the Player of the Year. Who's it going to be? Well, we'll find out. We'll go through these quickly. 1 vote, Jimmy Miller of South Fremantle. 4 goals, 5 inside 50s. Again, his versatility on show against the Eagles on Saturday. 2 votes, Sasha Kernett for West Perth, 5 goals. He really popped up out of the blue as that key forward for West Perth when it mattered. 3 votes, Fraser Turner of East Fremantle, 27 disposals, 8 marks, played very, very well. Loved his form across the season. Number 4 votes, Bailey Rogers of Claremont, 4 goals and 29 disposals, brilliant all-round performance. And the Around the WAFL top gunner of round 20, Josh Corbett of Peel Thunder, 5 goals, really sparking that Peel Thunder revival in the second quarter and holding off that Swan District's charge. He kicked goals all at such crucial times.
Absolutely, and you know, contextually that you know, earns you a lot of votes, and to stand up when they needed him was really important. So I can support that, Paul. Understanding of your 5 votes. So what's that mean? Who's got it?
Well, let's go to the leaderboard. We'll go from 10 through to the winner. 10th, Hamish Brayshaw on 8 votes. Equal on 8th on 9 is Luke Meadows and Milan Murdoch. 7th on 10 votes is Mitch Crowden. 6th with 11 votes is Jarvis Pina. 5th with 12 is Tyler Keitel of West Perth. 4th on 13 votes is Fraser Turner. 3rd on 15 is Jai Bolton of Claremont. In 2nd, Zach Clark of Subiaco on 16. And I have the absolute pleasure to announce that the Around the WAFL Player of the Year for 2023 is Aidan Clark of Swan Districts. Congratulations, Aidan. Very well done, Aidan, across the 2023 season.
That's just, I mean, applause from all in sundry. No, well done. He had a cracking season. I'm stoked about that. Can't wait to tell my Bassendean sources that Aidan Clark and the Swans have taken home that. And again, you know, one of many who's been such an such a key role, played a key role for Swan Districts, and you know, they'll go from strength to strength next year as well.
Wonder what we'll send Aidan Clark for his award. Maybe some BackChat ale or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, speak to Scully about that.
Yeah, we'll speak to him and Dan during the week, see if we can give Aidan Clark some BackChat ale as award for Player of the Year.
Send him a bunch of flowers or something.
Maybe.
He'll appreciate that.
Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But well done, Aidan. Player of the Year for 2023. That does it for today's edition of Around the WAFL. It's been a monstrous one, I'll say. But the big build to the finals is going to be monstrous for you. I'll see you Thursday.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Paul.
And we look forward to your company, viewers and listeners, on Thursday for our finals preview. September action is here. We can't wait for it. Just a reminder, we're on socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Give us a big thumbs up. We really do appreciate it. And you can catch us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. We look forward to your company on Thursday to preview week 1 of the finals.